Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. It's here. I am so excited to announce that Reclaim Your Health Academy is officially open. I will be your guide every step of the way for 8 weeks, transforming your health and your life on every single level: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. We are changing your entire lifestyle with a holistic approach, and I will be your guide. I'm so honored, and I hope to see you there. And I'm giving you a special early bird discount. Use code RECLAIMHEALTH at checkout. I'll leave the link in the show notes. We start January 8th, 2024. See you there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw, and today we have a very special guest, JJ Digeronimo. She is an author and entrepreneur. She has been in the tech industry for some time and made a shift over into the lightworker and spirituality community, which is so amazing. She's a 3-time author, and we're going to be discussing her book, which I have right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's called Seeking: 74 Key Findings to Raise Your Energy, Sidestep Your Self-Doubts, and Align with Your Life's Work. I am so excited. This book was phenomenal. I'm so excited to dive into this and just pick your brain. So welcome to the podcast. Hello.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting. When you're writing, as you know, as an author, you're like, I just hope this lands. I hope this is as profound or as awakening or even transformative as you hope it is when you start writing.
It absolutely was. And, while I was reading this book, because I understand from an entrepreneurship standpoint, that game is a spiritual journey. And so it's really cool how you merge the two together, especially coming from such a logical standpoint from when you were in the tech industry, and merging those two together is really cool. And for any and also what I love is you have these journal prompts at the end of every chapter, and you're able to just write in the book. It's really great the way that it was written and organized. I really loved it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? Tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got into what you do today. It's all you.
As you mentioned, it is my 3rd book, and I think it's my most honest book because it's really about working from the inside out. I'm 50, so I've been working for a long time, and I was so sort of product of the environment of go, do, be, create, really run towards every goal at all paces and make it happen. And I think that was pretty easy to do in my 20s and 30s. But then in my 40s, I started thinking, well, I'm doing all these things and I'm not quite getting the joy that I expected. I'm not really having the moments of celebration I thought I was, because I really had so much to do all the time that there was so little time to just enjoy the journey. And then, of course, the universe has an amazing way of serving up things around you that obviously just poke you and then also pull the rug out underneath you. And it really gives you the opportunity to ask yourself some questions like, am I happy? Is this what I thought it was going to be like? Is this what I really want to be doing? What is is this the work that really empowers and inspires me? And in 2016, it brought me on an entirely different journey, because up to that point, I was in tech, and then I was writing books for women in tech and women in business. Then I was writing books on how to get promoted, how to get to the executive suite and board and get on boards. And I just realized, like, yes, all of that is helpful when you're living outside your body. But at some point, for me, I really realized that I had a big gap between who I
Mm,
was and who I was in the world. And I needed to work to sort of get back into my body, get back into my natural gifts so that I could show up in the world a little bit differently than I had in the past.
yeah. Was there like a particular moment, like a turning point where you're like, "Oh man, I got to change something. Like something's got to give. I got to change my ways." Because I find that when I interview those individuals who have gone in their journey, there was like this pivotal moment. And it doesn't need to be, but I'm curious if there was for you.
Think so. I really was having, when I left my full-time job to do work, to be an author, to be a speaker, I left all my accolades, all the things I defined myself, my title, my job, the money I received. That's how I defined myself. And when I was on my own, like, a couple of years had gone by. And so it was really kind of weighing on me, like, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? This doesn't feel right. My
Mm,
dad got sick. Things were happening in my marriage, my kids were changing schools. Like, it just seemed like there was just so much coming down, like a
mm,
landslide. And I just decided, you know what, I need to figure out who I am, because I am just sort of a leaf in the wind right now, and I'm kind of blowing in all different directions. And I just really need to remember who I am and why I chose to come down to this planet.
love that. Yeah, and your book was very much like this third book was very much tailored to those individuals who are like, if you're unhappy, if you're feeling stuck and stagnant, if you're attached to all these accolades, if you don't know who you are, this book is for you. And like these key findings were really, they're like gems basically. They really like I really resonated with a lot of this information. So why don't you tell us like the process of kind of how, because your first two books are much different, like you were saying, from this third book. So how did that process look like for you? How did you really step into the light worker, the spirituality work? How did that shift happen for you?
Well, back in 2016, when I really just kind of had like a profound moment of like, I need to figure out who I am, and I have to stop waiting and working for my external metrics to make me happy, even my relationships, even anything having to do externally. Like, I leaned so much on that to determine how much I liked myself and how much I enjoyed what was happening. And when I started on that journey, I really wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to meet with 50 or 80 or 100 what energy practitioners. I really was like, I just need a shift and I don't know where to start. So I went to an energy center here in town and I started a tapping class. And then from there, I went and visited different people. I started acupuncture, I did Reiki, I went on road trips. I really was just a student, really just learning of all the different energy practices. But what I learned a lot is that I was holding so much energy inside my body from when I
Mm,
was in second grade and when I was 13, and something my dad said, and something that happened when in my first relationship. And I realized that I had the ability to get that darkness out. And so I really just worked with different energy practitioners to work through my stories, work through the things that I thought were holding me back, so that I could create more light, room for light, and more ability to step into my own light. And I think that happened over time. It wasn't like I started that way, but I just did it quarter after quarter, year after year. And now it's almost like 8 years. So it's been quite a journey.
yeah, it is a journey. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I feel like it gets to the point in your life where you're like, what do I need to do? Like, where do I need to start? And you become this like student of life, really. And you're meeting different practitioners, holistic practitioners, energy medicine practitioners, and things of this nature that truly help you get to the next level of really like your journey and your path. It's not like these accolades you're reaching for. It's like you're a student of life and you're just trying to navigate like what is it your soul came here to do. And I think you really it really landed in this third book. And so when you were writing this, what was your goal or your intention for the readers?
Oh gosh. Well, it's great because you can jump in the book anywhere. Whatever chapter calls you, you can jump in. The chapters are short and they can stand alone. So the beauty is that if you're dealing with perfectionism or you're have practicing polluters in your life or you have money stories and issues that are preventing you from moving forward, you literally can jump in anywhere in the book. And that's one thing is I wanted the chapters to be super short but very impactful so that people can use them. And it's funny, many yoga teachers and people are using the book as sort of like as oracle cards. They're sort of opening up the key finding and discussing it, which is fun. But I would say that I really wanted the book to be a bridge book for women that did not practice spiritually energy and didn't visit energy practitioners because I work at a lot of women in business events and I see many women sitting outside their bodies. Like they're so much in the masculine energy. It's like they've detached from their feminine knowing. And we all know, like, well, most of us know we have feminine and masculine energy. But if you're a businesswoman, the whole corporate America, the whole corporate structure around, even around the world, is all masculine, really. So we
Yep.
check our feminine knowing at the door. So I wanted the book to be approachable enough for women that may not be necessarily into energy, holistic, light workers, Palladians, right? I wanted it to be inviting enough for them to open it up and just check it out. And so blending sort of the successful or driven businesswoman with practices that can help them be even more powerful in their own self. And I think that was really the goal of the book.
Yeah, this is a really great starting point for people, women especially, who are in very much stuck in their masculine energy and they don't even know how to kind of like tap into that feminine energy or even know what it feels like to. And like I said, you definitely nailed it with all these different practices. And you're absolutely right. Like they're very short chapters and I was able to just like, I kind of did the same thing, what you just said, where I was kind of like, like, let's just say if I'm in a funk or something and I'm like, all right, universe, what do I need to know? And I would like kind of just open up your book and like whatever page it landed on, I was like, all right, this is what I need to work on. This is great. Awesome. So it's like this
Oh.
big oracle card deck of a book. I love it.
Oh, it's crazy. But with that, it was hard to get a publisher to take it on because it wasn't a business book. It wasn't a fully spiritual. So I had a lot of publishers come back and be like, this really doesn't fit in. I'm like, I know it's a bridge book. It's a bridge book. It's
Yeah.
a bridge to get people from where they are now to like more enlightenment, love, and illumination. And it really doesn't always fit exactly because the world needs more feminine energy and we definitely need more women at more tables. So we need to figure out how to raise our feminine, but still be practicing in public in a way that we can have more women at more tables because the world is very lopsided right now. And it's not going to help to have a bunch of really heavy masculine people at a table. And so we've got to start to streamline out that energy.
Mm. Agreed, most definitely. So let's actually dive into, because we were chatting about this before, how you were able to navigate in terms of like publishing this third book, because again, like you said, it's much different and it's a bridge book. And I know for myself too, like it's challenging to find a publishing agency that's like 100% on board with it, because it does, it's a bridge book and they're like, I don't know if it's going to get sales. Like that's what they're thinking. So how did you navigate or, figure out like, okay, I'm going to go through this avenue or I'm going to go through this avenue, because I have an authors and writers community and we love to talk about different tools, tactics, like how to get your book out there, how to be seen. So what was the process like going through, number one, writing the book, but also finding either like a publishing agency or you doing this, on your own and maybe creating your own team? Like, how did you do that?
That's a great question because I was, when I submitted the book proposal, which I've never done a book proposal before, but I really wanted to get a couple spiritual houses to pick it up. And so I figured, okay, well, I'm going to do a book proposal, which is interesting because I channel a lot of my books. So
Mm.
to write about what you're going to write about when you channel some of your books and you co-create with the universe can be really tricky
Yeah.
because the universe is like, we don't need to tell you that because we're going to write the book with you. So again, it's like getting into this, like I had to do this masculine, feminine thing too with the book, which was kind of funny. But I submitted to 6 houses. All six of them said no. And I sat on it for another 6 months to a year, but then I kept getting questions about things that I had written in the book. And people would ask me, well, how do you feel about this? Or what do you do about this? And I was like, that is a cue for me the universe is trying to tell me that the book needs to get out there.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I need to find an like an editor or someone to help me lay out each of the sections because I had so much content and it was just a mess. And so I used Upwork to help find an editor. And I like basically interviewed so many people. I hired so many people until I found the right editor. And it took some time. And so
Yeah.
the process I go through is kind of crazy, but I ended up finding this woman that helped me build an outline. So I took my book proposal and turned it into an outline, which was great. And once we kind of nailed the outline, then it gave me more structure to just finish it. Cause I had more than half like really strong, but then I couldn't figure out the middle and end.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that process, I was still looking for a publisher, but it just was tough because I was doing it just in COVID and right after, and everything was kind of going sideways. So
Right.
then I started researching groups that could publish the book. And I don't know, I really use my intuition. Like I just sit with the conversation when I'm on the call and after, and it just nothing was really fitting. And I came across these women that not only would help me publish my third book, they would help me get back my first and second book so I could have everything under the same umbrella because I was determined to help more women get published because it is so, so hard. And it doesn't need to be that hard. And I feel like it's sort of energetically harder because the energy that sits on the planet right now doesn't want as many women's voices to come forward in a powerful way. And so this masculine corporate America plus the energy of the planet. And I'm like, I'm going to break through this shit. Like, I'm not going to play these games. Like, we need more women published and we have to make it easier. So, with this book, I decided I was going to open a publishing arm to not because that's not going to be a business of mine. It's really going to be an offering to women that want to publish because it's really hard. And I've got all the resources from book covers to editors to publishing arm that gets everything on Amazon, markets it on Amazon. And then I also have people after the fact because if you have not written your first book yet, it's hard to believe that there's just as much work after the first book as there is writing the book. And I feel like you need to know how to position yourself, like as the book is 6 months before the book's coming out and through that whole process. And then I'm almost a year out and I am still working on the marketing arm of it. And I feel like if you're going to spend the time writing the book, you need to continue your work through the first year of your book being in the world.
Oh my gosh, definitely. I know with my first book, first off, amazing. Like you opened up like a whole new realm with your third book that you probably had no clue was even going to happen. Like that's so phenomenal. And I definitely want to learn more about this and we'll chat about this, but for me, like the first book, right? It was very like healing for me. So I talk about this all the time. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor as a young adult. And, I got the download and it was like, you need to write a book. And so same thing, I went into automatic writing, which I didn't even know what it was called at the time when I was first writing my book. And, that in general was healing. But then you have the other part of it where like you have to be seen and you have to like market yourself. And that was challenging. I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yes, like this, I feel very good with where I'm at. But like you said, it's a continuation of learning more about yourself, expanding yourself, and being seen, which a lot of people feel very uncomfortable with. Like I interview so many authors, and just with like the writing and authors community, these individuals, they're like, I don't know where to start. I get caught up when I'm writing, and then they're like, or they'll have like 2 books already written and done, and they're like, I don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's challenging.
Yes. I didn't really think I was going to be like the flag holder of I'll help you get your book published, but I couldn't believe how challenging it was for me. And I've sold thousands of copies of both of my other books too. So the fact that I was having challenges getting a third book published, I was like, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely bonkers. I'm like, listen, you can write a book and not want to go crazy with it. I always tell people like there's a couple reasons you write a book. One, you just want to have it. You just want to write it and have it and you want it to be printed. And that's great. If that's your goal, amazing. Two, maybe you're doing it, as an extension of your business and it really just gets all your common questions answered so that you can do your real work. And so the only people buying the book are the people going to be working with you. Awesome. Totally awesome too. Third, you're using your book as a platform to shift directions or change your conversation or expand what you talk about. Uh, and that's kind of the group I fall into. Each book for me has been like a really distinct platform that I've then continued on to become a speaker, an author. I do articles, I do keynotes, like events and such, and also retreats. And so it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. It's going to be the same cost on any three of those. But if you are on the third pillar, you're going to really need to get that engine going around that book and beyond. And you just need to have a strategy to do that.
Yeah. So tell us about this like new endeavor of you creating like this platform for women when it comes to like the publishing side of things. How did you even I know you mentioned this, but how did you, I guess, like build it out? How did you conceptualize everything and be like, all right, this is definitely the direction I want to go into?
Everything I do is built on a need, and it's usually my need. So my
Yeah.
first book is about women that have really young kids that are in really demanding careers. I didn't know how to do that. So I went and researched and got a ton of women and talked to all these people. The second one is how to get on boards and how to get to the C level or close to the C level. Didn't know how to do that. And there's a difference of working in your career and on your career. And this book is no different. Like I needed to figure out who I was, and I leaned on all these different energy practitioners. And I was like, you know what? Not everybody has the time and money to visit all of you. So I'm going
Yeah.
to make this easier, and I'm going to bring you all together in a virtual community so people can reach out to one another. So they're not sitting in their office or in their home being like, I don't know who to call. I did a Google search. I don't know how to do it. So that was like the basis of the books. But then when it was so hard to get the book published, I'm like, I got to streamline this. This does not need to be so hard. And frankly, a lot of the publishing houses are not run by the people who started it, and it's
Yeah.
turned much more into a business. And I feel like my goal is to give platforms and open up space to have more voices. And I have been gifted by the universe, not only on the people that I've connected with, but even the spaces that I can bring these people together now. We have this amazing space on Lake Erie, which is a natural healing center that now I'm trying to figure out like how do I bring all these different energy practitioners together so that we can do real programming. And when we really get this book thing really going, how do we use it as a tool so people can come and talk about their books?
Wow, that's so phenomenal. Oh my gosh, how exciting.
Oh my gosh. So it's like one day, one step, 1 hour at a time.
Right, right. So now you're at this point in life,
Yeah.
you know, how are you, number one, how are you feeling with everything that, you've created? Because it seems you've, just based off what you're talking about, you've gone from one side of the spectrum to the other. So how is that transition for you?
Well, I think that life prepares us, right? We have so many things that happen in our lives that bring us to this point in time. And often many of us can look backwards and be like, I see now why I waited tables at a country club and ran different events there. And I can see why now had that sales job. I feel like our life prepares us for the moment that we're in right now. And so I'm excited. I feel like, holy cow, I would have never dreamed this for myself. And it's actually a lot bigger than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, no, this is phenomenal. I love this so much. And I'm so happy that we were able to meet and connect. Like so many, again, I was reading the book. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. It's really phenomenal. And this whole space of, holistic and energy medicine is, I don't want to say underrated because I feel like it's really coming to it's coming to light. You know, people are really becoming more open, and not where you don't have to, you know, force people to believe like this stuff is real. It's very clear that this is, you know, science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. And it's just a matter of like, how can you incorporate these little things into your life so
Yeah.
that, you know, you can heal your body, you can do what you love, you can thrive in your health and your life. So kudos to you, because this is really awesome.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for the work that you're doing too, because I feel like it takes all of us. Our frequencies brought us together, which is super exciting. And I always say, if you don't like where you are in your life, raising your frequency is the easiest thing you can do. And it really is really about like what you focus on, what you talk about, what you say to yourself. And I know that I've been working on this a long time, and it brought us together, which is so magical. And I believe there's light workers all over the world here to help us, remind us, I should say, remind us why we're here and help us illuminate our path.
Love that. So as we wrap up, what are some words of wisdom you would like to leave the listeners?
Well, I think the most important thing that has come to me just even in the last 5 years is that life is happening for us, that everything you're going through is perfectly orchestrated for what you need to learn and where you need to grow. And I would tell you right at this moment, no matter what you're chewing on, whatever's aggravating you, whatever's not working, start to ask yourself, what is the lesson? What is the lesson I need to learn here so that I can move through this? And the universe will test you. So even if you move through, it'll come back again just to make sure you learned your lesson. So I think if you are more of a participant in your life of sort of watching and be observing and seeing what's happening, it gets your lessons get a little bit easier and you get to move a little bit more fluidly to the next step.
Love that. So where can people find you?
Well, if you want to get the book, you can just go on any platform, Amazon or any other, and put Seeking and 74. And you can put the name JJ, just two J's, because Seeking alone obviously will bring you to a dating site. So we want to make sure you're on the right path. I didn't really think about that when I named the book, but it is kind of funny now.
That is so funny. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So you got to put in Seeking 74 and JJ, and then it'll get you pretty much anywhere. But you can find me on all social platforms. And if you want to check out the energy practitioners I work with, you can jump into my community, Together We Seek online.
Beautiful. Thank you so, so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, this is so exciting. And thank you for the work that you do. It's so empowering and so inspiring.
Thank you. So guys, if you like this episode, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.